Hello, this is BJ with Security Services Incorporated, located here in Orem, Utah. This video is for Security Services customers and end users on the basic operation and setup of the DSC Neo alarm system that would be installed in a financial institution. Security Services would set up the alarm system in different areas. DSC alarm uses partitions to signify these different areas. Each different area has different zones associated with each partition. The partitions can be independently armed or disarmed from one another. For example, the ATM partition could be armed or disarmed for an ATM technician to work on an ATM after hours. The building partition that has doors and motion detectors zones on it could be armed independently by a janitor that would be coming to clean the building at different times. And the vaults, of course, has safes, vault doors, cash recyclers, night depository zones on that area or partition, and that could be armed independently so that it can still be armed when the janitors are there cleaning or when there's an ATM technician working on the ATM. There can be other partitions as well, like an IT room that could always be armed and disarmed. Depending on the code you have, your 4 or 6-digit user code will give you access to different partitions of the system. If you only have access to the ATM partition, you will only be able to arm and disarm the ATM. If you have access to all three, you could arm and disarm each partition. The partitions are signified on the keypad by a globe. A globe would be the entire system that would include all partitions. If you only have partition number 1, you get vault. Partition 2, building. Partition 3, ATM. When you punch in your 4 or 6-digit code into the keypad, you could do an arming of the system with the partitions that are available to your code. Down in the bottom corners of the keypad, you will see a globe with a locked padlock. Or on the right-hand side, you will see a globe with an unlocked padlock. Locked means that you're arming the system. Unlocked means that you're disarming the system. So if you had access to the full alarm system and all partitions, you would punch in your 4 or 6-digit code. You could push global arm and it would arm each partition. We'll go over to the keypads now and explain how you would do that on the keypad. Security Services will use 2 different types of keypads, a touchscreen keypad right here, and then a basic LCD full message keypad right here. The touchscreen keypad is generally used as a global keypad. A global keypad means that all of the partitions can be armed or disarmed from this keypad according to your alarm code, whether it is able to arm and disarm different partitions. The LCD keypad is generally assigned to be a partition keypad, meaning that it will be assigned to one partition. For example, in the ATM, we would use this keypad, or in an IT room, we would use this keypad. To wake up the touchscreen keypad, all you need to do is touch the touchscreen. It'll say global keypad, present tag, or touch to unlock. So you touch the screen to unlock it. You would punch in your 4 or 6-digit code. This code shows that you have all 3 partitions are able to be accessed by this alarm code. If I did it, this is a home button you can push to go backward. If I had a different alarm code, this alarm code only has access to 2 of the partitions, vault and building. Or again, another example, if I used a different alarm code, this alarm code, which would be similar to a janitor alarm code, only has access to the building. So to arm or disarm the system, first we'll show you how to arm the system. If you have only the 2 partitions available for you to arm, you would punch in your 4 or 6-digit code. It would take you to this screen. Here's the global with the armed padlock. You would touch the global arm, and the arming of the system is signified by the person walking away from the door. That means this system is arming those 2 partitions which are available for this user. and the keypad, when it goes back to this sleep screen, will start to beep. If you wanted to disarm this system, you could come to, again, wake up the screen and you see your partitions. Here's a global disarm. You could touch and disarm that system. On a basic LCD keypad, to arm this system, the green check mark means that it is ready to be armed. You would punch in your 4 or 6-digit code, and that arms that partition keypad because it only has one partition. Whenever you arm a partition, the global keypad will beep in the away tone as well. So if this keypad is inside of an ATM and this global keypad is in the lobby or a hallway inside the branch of a bank, then this keypad will also beep when the ATM is arming. So no need to be worried. If you wanted to see what was happening, you could come in here and punch in your code and you could see what was happening. The ATM is arming, and that's just fine. Once a partition is fully armed on the system, the little person that's walking away from the door will go away, and it will actually show a red locked padlock. That red locked padlock shows that the system is armed, or that partition is armed. If you were to disarm the system, again, on the basic LCD keypad, you can see that the red locked padlock shows that this partition is armed. To disarm this partition, you punch in your 4 or 6-digit code, and that disarms that partition. That's simple. When the full alarm system is armed, the keypad will show, again, if partitions are armed, it will have a locked padlock red light here. Each one of the buildings has a delay zone, which means that that zone, whether it's a motion detector or a door sensor, will allow you to open that door or be seen in that motion detector and give you a certain amount of time to disarm the system. Most systems are set to 30 seconds to 60 seconds to a minute and a half to allow you to disarm. Once that zone is opened, the keypads will start a tone. It's a solid tone. When that solid tone is ringing, that means that, hey, you better come and disarm me because I'm armed. If you don't disarm me in time, the alarm will go off. On a touchscreen keypad, you touch the screen to wake it up, present tag, or touch to unlock. You would punch in your 4 or 6-digit code. This code allows me access to 2, and these both are red and armed. I didn't do it in time, and the alarm went off. I will touch the global disarm, and that disarms the system. This system that I'm demoing, obviously I didn't do it in time, and the alarm did go off. Now both partitions are disarmed and they're ready to go. If I wanted to arm them again, I could touch global arm, and they're arming. If I wanted to only disarm one of the partitions, I could just touch that partition, and this one is disarmed, but this one is still arming. If I wanted to disarm this partition as well and not allow it to fully arm, I could touch that partition. Both are now disarmed, and I can push the home screen. It's ready to go, no problems. You can see that I actually did not disarm the ATM because the code I entered did not have access to this partition. So if I look on the keypad with a code that has the full partition access, the ATM is still armed. I could disarm that here on the LCD keypad that is programmed for that partition, or with this code, I can touch ATM and disarm it here. That's simple. If I try to arm the alarm system, and I see a gray, it could be that that's a force arm zone, which the building could be gray because it sees motion in the motion detectors. But there's a chance that if I do a global arm and it tells me that it failed to arm, building partition and ATM partition armed, but the vaults did not arm, I can touch that partition. It takes me to another screen that will show me zone status. If I go to zone status, again, to be able to see the zone status, I have to put in my code. But it tells me that the vault door is open. If the vault door is open, go and make sure that the vault door is actually closed. Once it's closed, it'll show you not an open door anymore, but a green check mark. Green check mark means that I can come back to my alarm code and I can arm the vaults as well. If I am the vaults, building and ATM are armed, vaults is now arming as well. To disarm, global disarm. Sometimes in the financial institutions, the panic alarm buttons that are installed at the teller line or at the desks can get pushed. To set the alarm off on a hold-up alarm, this button would typically be mounted under a desk or the teller line. This black button inside is inside of this button to make it so that you can't bump it with a knee or on accident. But to set that alarm off, if there's a hold-up, you would push the button. If that button is pushed, it's a latching button and it stays inside. That helps security services and management to know which button was pushed on the alarm system. If one of these buttons is pushed, then the alarm system keypad will tell you that there's been an alarm by an exclamation point that says alarms. That alarms will stay there and this zone will stay open, and it will not close and allow you to arm the system again. Most buttons, hold-up buttons, are on the vault partition. You will not be able to alarm that vault partition until you close this zone again. To close this zone, typically, security services would take a basic paper clip, which can be found at most branches of a bank. You pull that open like this. You take that paper clip and you put it inside of there and grab the edge of that button and pop it out. Once that button again is about flush with that face, you know you've pulled the button out. Once that button has been pulled out, it will again allow you to arm the alarm system, because that alarm will still be there, but now the zone will be closed and allow you to arm the system.